All right, I'm gonna go ahead and share my screen and we'll kind of go through everything. I'm gonna kind of circle back and review for the CBM. I know a lot of you guys are finishing that up. I've already actually had a few turned in, but no, most of you are kind of on the back side of it, finishing it up. So I'm gonna kind of circle back to the rubric, kind of go over that, see if anybody has any questions. And then we're going to jump ahead and talk a little bit about the portfolio too. So can everyone see my screen okay? Everyone good? So just wanted to touch base again. I went over this in detail last week, but again, just wanted to hit it quickly. So the rubric is a little bit different from the first two reports you did. So identifying information is pretty much the same, has the same information we're looking for: name of test, date, purpose, reason, pseudonym of the student, age, disability, a little bit about background, teacher observation, any family information you provide. The one section that is new compared to the first two reports is the probe and intervention section. So here's describing you to, or asking you to name and describe the probe that you selected, a little bit about the rationale for that specific probe, the quantity and frequency of the probe use. Let's just talk about how many times you utilized it. Name and describe any intervention that you used, the rationale for that intervention, and then any type of modification maybe you had to make to that intervention. So if you didn't have any, you might just briefly explain why you didn't have to implement or modify an intervention. Any question over that? Like I said, I know I covered that in detail last week. Just wanted to revisit that quickly. Any question over the probe and intervention section? Okay. Going down to test results and interpretation section. So again, this is going to be very similar to the sections we've had before in your reports. A couple little items that differ. Again, they're asking you to present data in tables, charts, and graphs, which you're used to doing that. We've done it before. But they're also asking you to implement or insert a line graph with baseline, intervention, aim line data on that as well. And I showed an example of that last week. I popped up a copy of a report and kind of gave you that example to give you somewhat of an idea. As long as it depicts those specific items, you'll be fine. And just that one item, guys, I'll point out to you is 50 points of that assignment right there, just on that graph showing your aim line and intervention and baseline. Then just make sure that you analyze or provide an analysis of the results, referring to all your tables that you may have in there or graphs, and explain the results, a little bit of the student performance from the first time you administer the probe up until the last time. Okay. Support all the conclusions with data from CBM. Make sure you highlight their strengths and weaknesses that you identified when you administered the probe. Recommendation and conclusion section, guys, is pretty much the same as what you've done before. Going in and making any type of recommendation based off the results that you obtained from administering those CBMs. Anything that you might have to modify as far as content moving forward after you've kind of learned the strengths and weaknesses, any modifications to a material that's presented, and then provide a brief summary of the performance. New section. So you have the probe and intervention section. The second one on this report compared to the others is the reflection. So here we're asking you to explain at least 3 things that you learned about administering the CBM, okay, from this assignment. So just kind of explain a little bit and share about 3 things that you learned. Also discuss if you would use the CBM again and why, and just support your stance with at least a couple pieces of data to support that. You may have decided that you don't want to use it, and just explain that. So whether you would or would not. Also identify 2 strengths and at least 2 weaknesses that you discovered when utilizing the CBM. Okay, just kind of briefly describe a couple of the strengths and then a couple of the weaknesses that you found out. Organization mechanics, pretty much the same as everything else, looking for correct use of APA, the formatting of your paper, and in spelling, grammar, things like that. So to make sure you attach permission form. Again, remember this assignment has the most points assigned to it. There's 225. So I just want to make sure everyone clearly understood that. Again, is there any questions over that before I kind of move forward and start talking a little bit about portfolio? Everyone feel pretty comfortable? I know there's a little bit of discussion on how to create a graph, easiest way to do that, what format you're using, what tool. So everyone feel good there with that in that area? Yeah. So Cynthia?
Yeah, I actually with the baseline and part of what I'm wanting to do is I want to compare what a normal child would be expected. And with the child that I'm using, they're autistic, so they're severely decreased.
Yeah.
I'm just curious if there's a way I could possibly do that on the same graph.
You could. I mean, you would basically create an additional line and label it with an explanation on there, comparing, a child perhaps that does not have that disability, and then one with suspected autism or one that's been diagnosed, and kind of create an additional line for them just to kind of show the difference between the two. So, any other questions?
I have a quick question. The student that I'm using is not really reading. So like we've been doing CBC or kind of like nonsense words. So what would be the best way for me to figure out the aim line for like what they should be? Do I use like the one for fluency that we had in our book? Like, can I use that as?
You can. And so I'm assuming this is a very young student. Is that correct, Bridget?
Yes, first grade.
Yeah. So you can kind of use that for the fluency in there as kind of a guide. And then also, especially when they're a younger student, take into consideration their performance and skill set up to that time. And so you could kind of take into consideration how you would anticipate as well for that aim line where they should be. So especially with your younger guys on that, you're going to have to rely on some of your experience and kind of anticipate how they would score on it as well. Okay. Does that help you out?
Yes, thank you.
Okay. Any other questions?
I have a quick one.
Yeah.
For your benchmark line, would that be the like annual goal or the goal?
Yes, it would be the annual goal.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Any others? Kind of before I move off the CBM, just want to make sure everyone's good and feels comfortable. Okay, remember, guys, that the deadline on that is this Sunday coming up, May the 7th, okay, at midnight. So remember that. Then while we're talking about deadlines, I'm going to turn right around and remind you that the portfolio, it's a short turnaround on that from when the CBMs due and when the portfolios due. So the portfolio is going to be due that Friday next week. Okay, so it's a quick turnaround. You're going to submit one on Sunday, then the next one's going to be due on that Friday at 4 o'clock. And again, if you remember going back to the beginning of this class, I talked a little bit about that because of having to go and review all the videos, your mock IEPs. And when the deadline is, I've got to submit your grades. So that's why I shortened that window of time in there. Okay. All right, let's move ahead quickly and just kind of go over the portfolio. Again, I covered this last week, kind of went over it quickly where I spent more time on CBM. So we'll talk a little bit more about it this evening. Then we'll share a few slides with you and walk through if anyone needs it on utilizing the portfolio template. Okay, so remember in the portfolio itself, and I've had emails the last 2 days on this, just to clarify, you will have 3 separate lesson plans. A lesson plan for the informal assessment, a lesson plan for the normed reference, and a lesson plan for the CBM. Okay, everyone clear on that? So you'll have 3 separate ones. I have the lesson plan template that's posted in the 805 resources section. Everybody remember me telling you about that? And it's very similar to the lesson plan template that they're going to expect you to utilize when you are doing the PPAT. And that's why we incorporated into this. So it exposes you to that and you have some practice with it. Excuse me. So when you upload the lesson plans in the portfolio, guys, that's the only thing that's required is that lesson plan. You don't have to include the test report or any part of that previous assignment with that lesson plan. Does that make sense? So literally all you're going to do is upload the 3 lesson plans. You don't have to include the report to accompany that you've already submitted and I've already scored and sent back to you. Okay. Then we're going to get into the video part, which is really the main part of the portfolio project. Excuse me. So if you will follow this rubric and use this kind of as an outline and you'll follow it when you're doing the mock IEP, you're going to do just fine on this. Okay. Remember, you can do this at home, sitting at your kitchen table. You can do it in your home office. You can do it in your classroom, wherever you feel comfortable doing it. Remember, this is a mock IEP. We're going to pretend that the multidisciplinary team is there with you. I know they're not, you know they're not. Okay, we're going to pretend they're there. So make sure at the beginning you go around and introduce the individuals that's part of the team, whether it's the building principal, the special ed director, the school psychologist, regular ed teacher, whoever it is, make sure you introduce them. Talk a little bit about the purpose of the meeting, to go over results from a series of assessments that you've administered to see how little Johnny or little Susie's doing, to determine whether further testing is needed for special services. State all the assessments. Okay, so you'll kind of go in and talk about, you gave a series of informal assessments and included, and just briefly tell what they are, then a normed reference to collect data, and then also explain the CBM. Then you're going to talk about their present levels of performance and kind of how they progressed over time. Okay, so you might talk about before the assessments, what you were seeing with little Susie or Johnny, and then once you start administering the assessments and making some adjustments and to instruction and how they progressed. And we hope all of them are progressing in a positive directions. Okay, explain about the performance on each test, and then also make sure that you are presenting the visuals. I talked a little bit about this last week. So if you are comfortable when you're making the video, and depending on what platform you use, most students utilize Zoom when they're doing the mock IEP, and then they set it up. They feel really comfortable with Zoom to where they do a screen share and they have their visuals, their tables, charts, and graphs that you've used for the informal, normed, and CBM. And they present that. If you don't feel comfortable doing that, doing a screen share, you're afraid you'll mess it up, mess up the video, and you're going to have to start over, you can hold up the hard copy just like I'm doing now, as if the parent was sitting in front of you, and explain, and you can kind of point and go over as if you're literally have a hard copy presenting that. Either way will meet the requirement, what we're looking for. Okay, so if you don't feel comfortable with technology, you can hold it up just like this, point to it, and reference a graph. Or you can do a screen share while you're recording that mock IEP and do the screen share, and the recording picks it up. Okay, does everyone understand that what I'm saying there and kind of the difference between the two? Okay,
I have a question.
yeah.
So we give them all the paper copies. Can I just say on page 3 and show them the graph that way?
As far as you need to in the video, you need to depict you presenting the data.
I need to show you
Yeah,
What
you
I'm-
need,
okay.
you need to show by either doing the screen share or
Okay.
literally holding it up like this, either way.
Okay,
You've already done all the charts and graphs. You've already done all that or will have up to that time, right? Because you've already
Mhm.
done these assessment reports. So if you want to use the hard copy or you want to do a screen share, but make that part of the meeting so I can see that, hey, you've got that, you're using that to explain the results to the parents. Okay.
okay, okay, thanks.
You're welcome. Okay, so you're going through, you're using the visuals, explaining the results that you're getting, and then you're going to roll right into and identify at least 3 strengths that you observed. And it could be 2 from one assessment, 1 from another, it could be 1 from each, or the 3 visible strengths might have really stood out on just a norm reference alone. Okay, then any 3. Same thing with weaknesses. You need to identify and let the parent know or the team know 3 specific weaknesses that you identified through administering these assessments. Then we're going to outline or present SMART term or SMART. Let me back up. Short-term SMART goals or long-term. Okay. If you remember last week, I talked about short-term was looking at 9 weeks kind of as a short-term goal, and then the long-term I referenced it as being more of a year down the road when you're coming back and you can assess whether they achieve that long-term goal. So short-term, we're looking at realistically a 9-week period. The long-term, we're looking more like what their annual goal would be. Okay, everyone remember I covered that last week. Short-term, 9 weeks. Long-term, looking at a year. Okay. Then as we're getting toward the end of the meeting, we're going to discuss ways that, or our expectations or your expectations regarding how the parents, guardians can help support and accomplish the goals that you're setting forward based off of the results you got and have just presented and identified the weaknesses that you need to focus on. Okay. Last week, if you remember, we had some examples that was given. Hey, what if we suggested the parent about, more positive comments at home, which would in turn reflect in the classroom versus them coming to school at the beginning of the day, they being cussed out, told they were stupid, dumb, whatever it may be, and then they're coming in, it just runs their whole day. So if you remember, we had some goals that were stated or expectations on how they could help if they would just change their dialogue at home and provide more positive feedback. You could even have that if you're trying to change behavior and performance. Okay, you may have some specific expectations when it comes to reading. I gave an example about when I was in the classroom and working with students that had trouble reading. My expectation is for that dad, as a single dad, had a son, sit down for 20 to 30 minutes, 4 to 5 times a week. You do that consistently through the year, it'll make a big difference from August until May. Just sit down 4 to 5 nights, sit down and read. Okay, so it could be something that simple to help achieve the goals. And then conclude the meeting. Thank the parents for coming in, being a part of the team. Also offer an opportunity for them to ask questions of you or of the team. And you can close it by saying, hey, if there's not any questions at this time, again, thank you, Mom, Dad, for coming in. We look forward to working with your son, your daughter, and we will reconvene after 9 weeks, review the short goal, and then we'll also come back a year from now and review the long-term goal. That's pretty much it.
We don't need to go over the lesson plans in the IEP video, do
Nope.
we? Okay.
Nope, you do not. Nope. The video is right here, those steps. That's what we're looking at right there. That's your mock IEP right there. It's just like you're sitting down, doing an IEP, except you're using data collected from the different types of assessments that you worked on. Okay, the things really that I'm looking at is making sure you cover those areas there, but I'm looking for just kind of a flow to the meeting I talked about last week about how important it is for you as the instructor to come in, making sure you are prepared, that you know and understand the content of the data, and being able to present that in a manner to where that parent can understand it. And that was why we were having you develop visual representation as well, because we commented about the parent can hear all this information. You can give them all these statistics and numbers, and it goes in one ear and out the other, but you can also show a visual representation of it. And that may help the light bulb come on. They truly will start gaining an understanding of what you're talking about as far as how their child performed. Okay, so looking at a good natural flow to the meeting, showing that you feel confident, and you should on this, because you're the one that's administered the assessments. You've created the charts, table, and graphs, and you know how this student is performing and what their strengths and weaknesses are. You're just presenting the information to them. Okay. So we're looking for a good flow, time limit. It's recommended minimum of 12 minutes, anywhere from 12 to 15. If you pretty much follow and use this part of the rubric as your outline, and by the time you go through and explain the information that's within the rubric, you'll get 12 minutes easy. I've had some that get into it and they really get to flowing, and here we are 22 minutes later on the video. So you may have a lot of information. You really have to kind of condense it down. So any question on that, what we're looking at for the mock IEP? So let's talk a little bit about the actual production or making of the video. We talked a little bit about that last week. Different ones maybe are more familiar with a certain format or platform to do the recording. A lot of the students that we've had in this class in previous semesters utilized Zoom to do it. They were familiar with it. It was easy for them to navigate around. They understood how to do screen shares to show their tables, charts, and graphs, and they utilized it. I've had some other ones that use different platforms, various platforms, to make their videos. It worked fine. I do want to kind of remind you of something, and I mentioned this before. Depending on what browser you use, we have noticed when you go to, if you try to upload the video file itself, you're not converting it or uploading and making a YouTube link. They literally will download the video and try to upload that file. It's really not being condensed. That if they are not using Chrome and they're using Internet Explorer or Mozilla, that it causes problems. It appears as if it's stuck in upload mode, and just kind of shows that wheel, and it's kind of spinning the whole time, and you go back in Blackboard and check it, and it's like it's just stuck. So we've noticed that a lot if your browser's Internet Explorer or Mozilla. So think about that. I can go through and kind of walk you through if needed, if you guys feel like you need it, kind of a way to do it, uploading into YouTube, creating that link. You may already know how to do it. I can walk you through it if you need that. It's kind of like a little tutorial. You may feel confident and don't need it. So does everyone feel confident on creating your video and what platform you're going to use, or does anyone need any help?
I know what platform I'm going to use, because I'll use Zoom.
Yeah.
But I do need help with figuring out how to upload it
To YouTube. Okay. So if you ever have done a video using Zoom, you know where the record button is. Does everyone know that? Okay. So you'll sit down in front of your computer, you got Zoom on, you're going to start the record button. And I'm gonna go ahead and get off my screen share real quick, okay? So you have your tabs here, you have the recording, you're going to start your recording and you're going through and doing your lesson. And you also have your graphs pulled up where you can do the screen shares. Everyone feel confident and understand how to do the screen share to pop your video up, okay? So you get to the end and you're going to end the recording. And so you hit stop recording and you exit out and you're going to see it Zoom start the download process, and it's going to download to your computer is what you want it to do. Basically, it's going to download onto your desktop or a Zoom folder. I've got a Zoom folder, and that's where it automatically dumps it when I get done. Okay, so what you'll do is let me get over real quick and get it set up on YouTube, and then I'll do my screen share. So if you'll bear with me just a second, I'll get over and do that. Okay, I'm gonna do a screen share. So I've got my Fort Hayes Google. Basically, each of you have a Google through Fort Hayes, and so we got it. So literally, I'm gonna go up here, shift this over. Can everyone see my screen where I've got my cursor? I'm gonna go up here and find all my apps, and I'm gonna scroll down to YouTube. I'm gonna click on YouTube. And so when you get into your YouTube, it's taking a minute here to pull up. You're going to see a little camera icon here that has the plus emblem inside of it, plus symbol. Does everyone see I've got my cursor, and right below it, it's giving me a drop down that says create. I'm literally going to hit that. Now it says go live or upload video. Does everyone see that? I've got my cursor on it right here. So I'm going to literally click upload video. And so YouTube is going, it's popping up another page. And for some reason, my internet is dragging right now. I don't know why. So, okay. So I hit upload video and it goes through the process, and it's going to pop up a page that looks very similar to this in YouTube, where it says upload videos, and it gives me a tab here. It says select files. Can everyone see I'm kind of circling my cursor on it right there? I'm going to hit that select files tab. And then it's going to pop up information from my computer that I'm working on, and you're going to see desktop, downloads, documents. And so I downloaded it basically to my desktop when I ended my Zoom session. I'm gonna go in here and find one where I downloaded it so I can show you. Bear with me just a minute. Okay, so I've got a Zoom folder. I set this up to where I have a Zoom folder because I do so many of these. Okay, so you're just going to download it like on your desktop, or it'll be in your downloads button over here. So I've got my Zoom folder. I'm going to double click it. Here's all where my videos download. This is what it looks like in raw form. Once it downloads, it's going to have a code on here. 4/18 of 23. You can see right here. It's from one of our Zooms on 4/18. See, it has the code. I'm going to click on that to get it highlighted. Everyone follow me so far? I click on it. It's got it highlighted. And I'm going to hit my open button. It's going to pop up, and then you're going to see the video. It has the audio file, the recording, and then the video itself. I'm going to click on it, and I'm going to hit open. It is now uploading into YouTube. You can see it. So it's already done it. It's converted it over. It's uploaded it into my YouTube. Everyone see me so far? Here it gives you the ability, it kept my assigned video code that Zoom assigned. I'm gonna get that off there and I'm gonna put Angela portfolio. I'm gonna title it. You can title it whatever you want. I'm picking on Angela right now. So, okay, so I'm changing my title. And right over here to the right where I changed it, you see this gray box? It's uploading my video now. Okay. Now, our classes, you typically go about an hour by the time we start to finish, right? 50 minutes to an hour. Okay, so it won't take you as long for that video to upload because you're going to probably have 12 to 15 minutes. Okay, so you got to remember this is about 50 minutes at least long. Also down here at the bottom, I'm kind of hovering my cursor over it. Down at the bottom, it shows it's uploading and what percentage it is and how many minutes it has left. Everyone see that in the lower left-hand corner down here? I'm hovering my mouse, my cursor over it. Bottom left hand. So you can see it's taking a little bit of time because this is a larger video, right? If it's your 12-minute video, it'll do it quickly. So I'm gonna let that upload quickly. It's taking a second. I've already changed my title up here, but I haven't really done anything else other than I'm waiting on that video to upload. Okay. While we're waiting to do that, I'll show you something else. It's already created the YouTube video link for me, and it's already created that, and I'm circling it right here. After I process this whole thing, all I got to do is copy this, and then I'm going to take it and I'm going to drop it over into my portfolio. Okay. Now, while that's uploading, I'm going to go ahead and forward through. I'm going to follow my next step here. You see this next button, lower right-hand corner. I'm going to go ahead and move forward. It will continue to upload. Okay, you can see it kept my title, Angela Portfolio, still showing, and it's going to hold me up until that fully uploads. It's at 75%, 76. It'll be done here in just a second.
Will this be visible for anyone to see then?
It will, and I'm going to show you how to do that. There's a specific thing you got to do because if not, I won't be able to see it. Now, after the grading, you can go in there and take it back to private. Okay. But in order for me to grade it, you're going to have to make it public because I won't, when I click on the link, it's going to say this video is blocked. It is not, open to public. Okay, so the upload completed, and now it's going through a processing, which is an extra little step. Takes a few minutes or a minute or so to do it. Angela, you just asked a question. Automatically by default, when you start this, it will save as private by default. So in just a second, I'm going to show you how to take that off. So it's going through the stage over here. You can already see the recording from when I started class that night. Can you see it? It's kind of showing me what the beginning of the video is going to look like. That video that I just uploaded is 57 minutes. So it takes a little bit longer. Okay. It's going through an additional check over here. So that's why it's taking longer. I'm going to let that finish and I'm going to switch over to another thing. Then we'll come back to that. Oh, here we go. It completed. Get back over here. Okay, so literally, and it's for some reason, I don't know why, but it's still like it's uploading, but it's not showing me my next step. My next step will be, I would hit the next button, Angela, and it's going to pop up, and it's over on the left-hand side here. It's going to pop up a tab, and it's going to give you the option to, is it appropriate content for children? You're going to mark yes, and then right below, it's going to give you the option to leave it public or I'm sorry, keep it private or make it public. You'll hit public, hit next, and then it will finalize the process. And I go, literally, all I do is highlight that link, copy. I'm gonna copy the link, and then I'm gonna go over and paste it in my portfolio. Okay. Any question on that? It's pretty quick. It's like 3 or 4 clicks of a mouse. It's taking this a little bit longer over here due to the size of that file. So, but literally I would just hit next, and then it was going to give me the opportunity to make it, keep it private or make it public. Okay.
Okay, so when we copy and paste the link, is it just like you go into where it says assemble portfolio and just
Yep. You're
put
going
it in, or do we need to put it onto a sheet of paper and
Nope. You can drop it right in there. So I'm going to do a screen share now and go over to, let's see, let me get my Blackboard. Let me exit out of that quickly. Hang on just a minute and I'll get it over to Blackboard. Okay, let me do this. Okay, so I'm in Blackboard. I'm in one of the sections. So I'm going to go over here to my left-hand side. There's actually, you're going to see 2 things that kind of pertains to portfolio. This one here, you won't even use this till later on toward the end of the program. It's basically your comprehensive portfolio. Okay, so don't even pay attention to that. It's just, it's in the all the shells. You're going to drop down to where it says create portfolio here. It's right below the submit assignments here tab. Okay, so you hit create portfolios here. I'm going to click on that. Okay, it's going to pop up a page where it says create portfolios here, portfolios homepage. I'm going to click it. My internet is slow. I don't know what's going on. Just kick me off of there. Hang on just a minute, guys. I apologize. By the time I started downloading that Zoom video, okay. Sorry about that. I don't know why it all of a sudden started doing that. So you can see here, I've got multiple in my instructor course shell that I just went through and walked the groups through to create. So you can go in here and literally you're going to hit this button here. It says create portfolio. Okay, you can ignore these down here. Those are examples and different ones I've done through time. I'm worried about this. We're actually going to create it. You're going to create it. So we're going to title it. Again, I'll use Angela portfolio. Okay. Uh-oh. Okay, I'm going to ignore this select template Not worried about that. I'm gonna title it. We already did, Angela Portfolio. I'm gonna drop down right-hand corner and hit the Submit tab or button, okay? Now, this, especially your first time, I would strongly encourage you to take the tour because it will literally walk you through each step. Okay, you can hit no thanks, I'll explore on my own. And it's very easy to get a lot of extra pages created on there that you don't need, and it really clutters up your portfolio. This is a very brief tutorial that'll walk you through each step right here. I strongly encourage you to go ahead and do that when you get to that point. For this evening, just to kind of show you what it looks like after we get in there, I'm gonna go ahead and hit no thanks. I'll explore on my own just so you can kind of see what it will look like. Okay, once you do it. Okay, so literally you have page 1, section 1. So here I'm going to hit my pencil and I'm going to title this Introduction, because you remember we got to do an introduction section. Remember I told you 4 to 5, 6 sentences explaining kind of the purpose of the portfolio. Then I'm going to drop down, and instead of adding artifact, I'm just going to literally manually type in, because I don't have anything to upload. I'm just going to write in my content here. What I want to add, I'm going to hit my pencil, and then I would go down here to click here to add my content. Literally, I'm going to just start typing away and put it in. Or if you want, you can do it in a Word document, save it, and then upload your artifact. Either way, that's really not necessary in this section because it's such a short amount of material you're putting in there. It's not like it's a multiple page document, so you can add in there. Okay, so I would save that. Okay, I could say this portfolio contains documentation or data from assessments collected, and we'll go on, and then we're going to add page 2. Page 2, I'm going to put informal lesson plan. And if I could type tonight, it'd be great, right? Okay, here I'm going to add an artifact because you have a lesson plan document, right? You have the template we created for you. You go in there and put your information in, save as, Angela's informal lesson plan. I'm going to add my artifact. I'm going to click that, and it's going to give me the opportunity to go in there and search for it in your artifact, upload it from your computer. I'm going to add from the course. Nope, you're not. You're going to add a personal. You're going to click it. You'll give it the title, informal lesson plan. And I'm going to go down here, add local file, just like you were uploading your assignment. And I'm going to go to my desktop, and I'm going to upload a document. I'm clicking on our next year's school calendar. I'm going to upload it. You'll see it's attached. I did that as an example. I selected that document. I selected our next year's FY24 calendar. And then I'm going to go down here after I get it in there, and I'm going to hit submit. It's going to save that page, that section. Okay. Or my informal lesson plan. I'm going to go down here and add another. Page 3. Okay, I'm just adding norm. Norm reference lesson plan. Okay, add artifact. I'm gonna go through that same thing. It's giving you up here at the top, Cynthia, you guys see add personal or add from course. I'm adding it from personal. Gives you the opportunity. Norm referenced. I'll title that again. Subpage. I'm going to scroll down. I'm not typing anything in. I'm skipping that. I'm scrolling down. Angela, browse my local files. You save this on your desktop, right? It's a lesson plan. And I'm gonna go to my desktop. I've got I'm just gonna put on there audit response, MOE letter, maintenance of effort letter. I'm gonna save that. I'm gonna go down here and hit submit. It's gonna save it. Go back over here to my plus tab. I'm gonna hit it again. Pops up a message at the top, says you are currently editing portions of the page. Continue to lose any unsaved changes. I've already saved them because I've submitted them. Pops up page 4. Guess what? CBM lesson plan, right? I'm going to add artifact. Personal, right? We're not adding it from the course. It's a personal. CBM lesson plan. Okay. Scroll down. Adding a local file. I'm going to go to my desktop. I'm selecting my file. Okay. Calendar change notification. It's file I'm changing or selecting. Okay. I'm going to submit to save it. Everyone with me there? Okay. I'm going to hit my plus arrow again. Guess what? It adds another section. I'm going to title this when it pops up. I'm going to internet slow. It's dragging on me again. I would do the same thing. I hit my plus. I'm going to title it mock IEP video. Scroll down, add artifact, personal. Then instead of clicking the file, this is where I'm going to copy and drop in that text box. I'm going to drop and paste my YouTube link in there. You know, I said earlier it had that little text box. I'm not typing anything in. I'm uploading my lesson plan. The text box is where you can upload or paste your YouTube link. You would hit submit, go over, hit your green button again. I got to create my last section. What's my last section? What's it going to be after my video? You guys remember what? Huh?
Conclusion and
Your conclusion. Yeah, your conclusion's all it is. You've already done the introduction, right? So we've got norm reference, all that stuff's in there. I've titled it. And now you're going to do the conclusion, and that'll be it. And then you'll share it with me, and it submits.
Did you say the mock IEP will be in like section 2, or will it be like page 5?
No, so you're going page 1 is going to be your introduction. Page 2 is informal lesson plan. 3 is going to be your norm reference. Page 4, CBM, mock IEPs, page 5. Then the 6th page you're going to create in there is your conclusion page. Okay. That's it. It's pretty much, I call it a mini portfolio. Now, where I showed you that comprehensive portfolio tab, that's a whole other deal in itself. That's what you'll do at the end of the program. It's a lot more extensive. This is just a very mini condensed version. But I will tell you this. I would strongly encourage you also to save these documents, your lesson plans, your video, get you a thumb drive, flash drive, and save these, create files or folders for this class and save it on a flash drive, because you're going to need all that at the end when you're doing your comprehensive portfolio, and you're going to need it as artifacts. Okay. And what happens is sometimes if you don't do that, these documents will remain in this course shell, and it's out there, but it's not visible to you. So if you're trying to find these artifacts, sometimes you have to like, okay, who was my instructor for that class? And you got to email them and see if they can go back in there and unlock that and make that available. So I always say I would strongly encourage you to get a flash drive, make a folder, and store your lesson plan and video in there. And that way you'll have it for your comprehensive portfolio and all your other classes moving forward from this point in time. It'll save you a lot of time and stress at the end doing that, okay? Or create folders and store it in Google on your Google Drive. Okay. All right.
Or both,
Excuse me?
or both.
Or both. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Yeah. The good thing is if something happens and your flash drive gets crushed, you got it on Google Drive back there, stored on the cloud. Okay. Any questions on CBM portfolio? One thing I will tell you, looking ahead next week, typically because it's a short week, and everything's due on Friday, typically don't meet on that last week on Wednesday, although I will. If you guys feel the need, I'll be available. If you're having trouble with portfolio or anything like that, I'll be on there at 6. I'll be available. If you feel the need to hop on there, you have questions, concerns, anything like that, I'll be on. Be available if you need it. Okay. Any questions on that? Remember, a lot of the stuff for the portfolio you've already done, except for really making that video. You're finishing up the CBM, so you've got all your data. You just need to go in there and plug the information in the lesson plan template. Everyone remember where that's at. It's in the course shell, SPED 805 resources. You'll see the template in there. It's in Word form, so you can go in there and put your information in for each one, save as, and give it a title. Okay. If you have questions after the Zoom tonight, you guys know you can email, when I check them in the mornings and again in the afternoon, I'll get back to you and answer your questions. And again, I'll be available next Wednesday. If you feel the need, you can hop on if you have concerns over the portfolio, okay? Anything else before we go? You're at the end. It's been quick, right?
Dr. Posey, can we use OneDrive?
You can. Yeah. Certainly can. Anything else? Okay. If you guys feel good, remember, if you have it, you're ready to submit and all that, I check Blackboard. I will go ahead and start reviewing that if you submit before that Friday at 4. But just remember, Friday at 4 is when that portfolio will be due. So, okay, CBM's due this Sunday, midnight. Okay, thank you guys for your time. And if you have any questions, email. And if not, I'll look forward to seeing you guys next week. All
Thank
right.
you.
Have a good question. Have a good night. Thank you.